If you walk through any modern gym, you'll see mirrors, machines, and numbers everywhere. Sets, reps, calories, percentages. 2,000 years ago, none of that existed. And yet the ancient Greeks built physiques so balanced and powerful that sculptors still use them as the standard for the ideal human body. That wasn't luck, it wasn't genetics, it was structure. In ancient Greece, physical training was not a hobby. It was a civic obligation. City-states were small and often at war. A farmer could be summoned to fight as a hoplite. A merchant could be assigned to row in a naval fleet. Military readiness wasn't professionalized, it was communal. If you were a citizen, your body had to work. Every major Greek city maintained a gymnasium. The word comes from gymnos, meaning naked. Training was done without clothing, partly for practicality, partly as a ritual gesture honoring the gods. The body was not hidden or ornamental. It was something to be refined. But the gymnasium was not just a training hall. It was an open complex, courtyards for sprinting, sand pits for wrestling, shaded walkways for drills and heat, rooms for oiling the skin and scraping it clean afterward with a curved metal tool called a strigil, spaces for instruction in mathematics, rhetoric, and philosophy. Young men didn't separate physical and intellectual development. They developed both in the same place. The Greeks used the word arete to describe excellence. It meant fulfilling your potential completely, physically, mentally, morally. Strength wasn't vanity, it was proof of discipline. Training reflected that mindset. Sessions weren't organized around body parts. There was no chest day, no arm specialization, no isolation circuits. Work revolved around patterns of movement. Athletes began with calisthenic drills, squatting variations, lunging patterns, push-ups against stone blocks, dips using low platforms, hanging from ropes or wooden beams to build grip strength and shoulder stability. Control came first, then power. They sprinted short distances across packed earth. They performed broad jumps while holding halteres, stone or bronze weights, typically between 2 and 9 kilograms each. Archaeological finds show their curved shape allowed athletes to swing them backward before launching forward, increasing hip drive and total body force. It was primitive plyometric loading. Wrestling followed. Greek wrestling was structured, technical, and relentless. Victory required forcing an opponent's back, shoulder, or hip to the ground 3 times. No time limits, no weight classes in early periods. Matches could last until exhaustion. This wasn't casual grappling, it was full-body resistance against a shifting load. Every clinch demanded grip strength, every throw required hip extension, every defense required core stabilization and balance under unpredictable force. Modern physiology would describe this as integrated neuromuscular recruitment. The Greeks simply called it preparation, and that preparation built density. When resistance is alive, stabilizers fire continuously. The spine braces reflexively. The hips and shoulders coordinate under stress. Muscle isn't just contracting, it's adapting to chaos. Look at high-level wrestlers today. Thick necks, dense backs, powerful legs, often built without traditional hypertrophy splits. The mechanism hasn't changed. One of the most cited examples from antiquity is Milo of Croton, a 6-time Olympic wrestling champion in the 6th century BCE. Ancient accounts describe him carrying a calf daily as it grew into a bull. Whether exaggerated or not, the principle is unmistakable. Gradual load increase, adaptation through repetition, consistency over novelty. The Greeks didn't invent a theory for progressive overload, they lived it. Even their competitive events reinforced durability. Greek boxing used leather straps wrapped around the hands. There were no timed rounds, no weight divisions in early periods. The contest continued until one man conceded or could no longer stand. That environment demanded conditioning beyond simple muscular strength. Neck resilience, rib stability, mental tolerance to sustained stress. Pancration combined wrestling and striking. It allowed nearly everything except biting and eye gouging. It was brutal by modern standards. But mechanically, it trained full-spectrum strength, pushing, pulling, twisting, resisting, scrambling. The body was never trained in isolation. It was trained as a unit under unpredictable force. This matters. When resistance changes direction, muscles cannot rely on fixed patterns. Stabilizers fire reflexively. Joints learn to control momentum. Connective tissue thickens under repeated strain. That's how dense physiques are built. Not inflated ones, but compact, resilient structures. And this is where modern training often diverges. Today, strength is frequently measured numerically. Load on a bar, machine settings, mirror feedback. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. But Greek training did not revolve around external measurement. It revolved around mastery. Could you control your opponent? Could you carry weight across distance? Could you sprint repeatedly without collapse? Could you maintain posture under fatigue? The famous story of Milo carrying a growing calf illustrates more than progressive overload. It shows patience, adaptation over years, not weeks. Load increases that match biological capacity. The animal grows slowly, so does the strength required to carry it. Consistency built the physique. Archaeological evidence also shows that some athletes trained with weighted vests or shields to simulate combat load. A hoplite's shield alone could weigh around 7 to 8 kilograms, carried on one arm for extended periods. That asymmetrical loading strengthens the torso differently than balanced barbells. Even rowing fleets created unilateral strain. Thousands of repetitions pulling against water resistance thickened the upper back and forearms. Real tasks shape real bodies. Recovery remained disciplined. Olive oil massage likely improved skin condition and circulation. Bathing aided muscle relaxation. Stretching preserved range of motion. None of it was mystical. It was practical. Nutrition remained simple. Barley porridge, bread, olives, goat cheese, lentils, fish, occasional meat. Enough protein to support adaptation. Enough carbohydrates to fuel repeated effort. No supplementation. No engineered formulas. Just adequacy and repetition. And through that repetition, something distinct emerged. Not maximal size, not specialization, but proportion. The Greeks valued symmetry. Polykleitos even wrote about mathematical ratios of the body, balance between upper and lower, tension and relaxation, force and control. That aesthetic standard came from their training philosophy. When movements are compound and integrated, development spreads evenly. When wrestling is primary, the back thickens. When sprinting is frequent, the hips grow powerful. When carrying loads, the core strengthens naturally. The result isn't exaggerated arms or isolated peaks, it's structural strength. And structural strength lasts. So how do you apply Greek training today without pretending you live in Sparta? You don't need a shield. You don't need to wrestle in sandpits. And you don't need to abandon modern tools. What you need is to change your priorities. First, build your base with bodyweight control. If you cannot perform strict push-ups, deep squats, lunges, and hanging leg raises with control, adding machines won't fix that. The Greeks developed strength from the inside out. Stabilize first. Own your bodyweight first. A simple structure works: push-ups or dips, pull-ups or ring rows, deep squats, lunges, hanging work, bridges or hip thrust variation. 3 to 4 sessions per week. Slow, controlled repetitions. Full range of motion. Progress by increasing reps or difficulty, not by chasing fatigue. Second, add loaded carries. You may not carry a shield, but you can carry weight. Dumbbells, kettlebells, sandbags, even heavy grocery bags. Farmers' carries build grip, traps, core, and hip stability. Front carries reinforce posture. Overhead carries demand shoulder control. Walk with weight for distance or time. Carry heavy, rest, repeat. This alone will change your physique. Third, include explosive movement, short sprints, hill sprints, broad jumps, medicine ball throws. 2 sessions per week is enough. Keep volume low. Focus on quality. Power declines quickly when fatigued. The Greeks trained speed and force, not just endurance. You don't have to fight professionally, but joining a wrestling, judo, or Brazilian jiu-jitsu class once or twice per week will build a kind of strength machines cannot replicate. When resistance moves unpredictably, your entire system adapts. That density shows. Fifth, simplify your nutrition. You don't need extreme bulking phases. Eat consistently. Include protein from whole foods. Meat, fish, eggs, dairy, legumes, carbohydrates from grains, fruit, and vegetables. Fats from olive oil, nuts, and seeds, enough to recover, not excess for its own sake. And finally, train with balance. The Greeks followed what philosophers later described as the golden mean. Avoid extremes. Don't train recklessly to injury. Don't rest into stagnation. Push hard. Recover properly. Repeat for years. Muscle built slowly lasts. The Greek physique wasn't created by novelty. It was created by repetition of fundamental movements under meaningful resistance. If you strip away machines, isolate less, carry more, sprint occasionally, control your body weight, and train consistently, you are closer to their method than you think. They didn't separate aesthetics from performance. Their bodies looked strong because they were strong. That principle hasn't changed. The tools have, but the mechanism hasn't. And if you apply that mechanism patiently, Your physique will reflect it.